I like to say I'm reading a random thing. It's not the usual video I make, but I think it's important because I think with minorities like ours, it's important that people know that they're not alone, and obviously people need to hear our experiences so they know how to address us a bit more easier. So I've written down a list of things I'll talk about and go into detail about it. This ain't going to be a fancy editing video, to be honest. I think I might just do the background thing. I have a stock background that I made myself. But yeah, let's get on with it. Let's start with what ulcerative colitis is and inflammatory bowel disease and why it's in that category. So I think inflammatory bowel disease is the umbrella term for inflammation of the bowels, and that could be different things. Mine happens to be ulcerative colitis, which is inflammation of the lower end of my digestive system in the large bowel and rectum. And this actually apparently can cause anal fissures and hemorrhoids, which I didn't know, and explains a lot. Because I was wondering why I used to go through so much pain using the toilet that they actually made me scared to use it. And this went on for a few years, which I'll go into later. Anyway, let's go into how I got here. So I got here because I pushed my GP to make him more aware of it, because something wasn't right here. The hemorrhoid cream wasn't working, so I was applying it wrong. And I was in so much pain and using the toilet so much, I just didn't know what to do. This was disrupting my life, and it wasn't good. It was taking a toll on my body, in fact, so much that paired with stress, I lost about 20 kilograms in, I think, 6 to 9 months, roughly. I didn't count, but the stress started like 2 years ago, and over a year I just lost all that weight. Started from 115 kilograms and went down to 95. But then I finally changed doctors and moved house, and I suddenly got a surgery appointment for a colonoscopy because they wanted to figure out what was wrong. And it was worrying because I was showing symptoms of bowel cancer. And actually, my last GP actually thought it was IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and well, it wasn't. And the new GP actually criticised them for this because there was no definitive proof that it was IBS. So when they thought it could be IBD, that's when things changed. So, fucking hell, I get distracted. With IBD, it was more likely than other things that it could be. And so they wanted to get a colonoscopy just to be safe, and, well, like I said, I got it eventually. And they discovered something, but I'll go through the story of it first. Leading up to it, I was fucking nervous as hell. Like, this is the scariest thing I've done, no doubt. And I was just shitting myself thinking about it all the time. I was there in the waiting room on the day of it, thinking, oh god, I'm probably gonna die here. So we get called up, because I went with someone, so I wasn't alone. And we go into the rooms of discussing it, and also, I forgot to say the prep for it. The night before, or the days before, we had to have these specific laxatives, and a specific diet, a low fibre diet, I think it was, for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why it's a low fibre diet. I did find that a bit odd. But you can only have specific foods, and with myself being vegan, that limited the amount I could have. So basically I had tofu for a few days, which was one of the suggested things, and it was nice actually. I like tofu. But on the night before, we had to take drinks within 4 hours, like 2 drinks. The first drink was, I think it was a mild laxative, I could be wrong. But you have to sip it over time. So I basically set up a timer on my computer to sort of make me sip it every minute, I think it was, until it was just empty. And these drinks tasted awful. They felt awful as well. They made your mouth quite dry as well. But this was the first one. Wait until you hear about the second one. The second one was just disastrous. It's one of the worst drinks I've ever had. One of the most laxatives I've ever had, for that matter. Because I was already dreading it on the first sip, but on the ones after, it was just getting worse and worse. And then I remember I went to the toilet thinking, oh, I need to go, but nothing came out. Like, okay. But then, about an hour after finishing this drink, I suddenly get stomach aches and I suddenly feel nauseous. I was playing Deep Rock Galactic at the time and I was actually in the Abyss bar, fucking having drinks with my fellow dwarves, and suddenly I just feel sick, and I managed to secure a sick bowl anyway because I was feeling like that beforehand. And I just suddenly projectile vomited onto my bowl and it went a bit over my desk, but this stuff was so bad and so strong that it made me sick. I basically brought up a bunch of food that I had the day before and obviously the rest of the laxative, so that complicated things. And I had, I think, 3 shits. Sort of emptied my bowels, and in the morning I had about 2. In the morning I could only drink water because they needed you to have an empty stomach to do the colonoscopy. Anyway, the colonoscopy was on that day, so obviously I went to the doctor who was sort of pre-screening it, I think, is that the term. And I brought this up because I wasn't sure if this was good or not, and they said that it could be risky because it would mean that my bowels aren't entirely clean. Because what they want when they put a camera up my arse is to have clean bowels. So yeah, that 100% complicated things, and it was a risk, but I could go in it with no results or some results. And yeah, so I went through with it anyway. I had to get undressed into my boxes, I think, and a gown. And I had to walk into the room with this needle in my arm, which apparently is the anaesthetic. It didn't actually work that well, to be honest. It numbed it, but I still felt things. Just a bit frustrating. Then I got called up to the room, and honestly, it's a horrible room. It's just dark. I don't like that one bit. So in this room, I get asked to lay down, like, okay, and then they sort of prepare me for it. They put me on a sedative, I think it is, a sedative. I don't know, but fun fact, it didn't work, and apparently it doesn't usually work on autistic people, so yeah, that was fun. Not a good start. I noticed that I didn't feel any different when they put it on me. I was like breathing in smoothly as well, so it just confused the hell out of me. And at that point I was still a bit scared and really nervous, but then they put the camera up there and suddenly just all that nervousness faded. And I was actually facing the screen where they had the camera showing my bowels. I was awake through the entire thing. That's the crazy thing, and apparently that's dangerous. Because I should be like half asleep. So that's a bit worrying. I don't know what happened there, to be honest. So they sort of do the whole thing, the camera up to my stomach, I think it was. And funny enough, I saw a bit of cucumber from a few days ago stuck in there. It's just such a random thing to see. But it was a bit messy, but they managed to determine what it was eventually. I also felt the pulling of the thing, where they had to take blood samples. that was a bit uneasy. But it wasn't the worst experience I've ever had, to be honest. It's really not as bad as it sounds. It's actually quite exciting if the sedative does to you what it does to me, did to me even. And yeah, so they didn't tell me what it was, they just wheeled me out of the place when they got the camera out. And left me in the waiting room, and I could wait there for apparently 1 to 2 hours because of how the sedative works. It can make me a bit uneasy. But because it didn't have any effect on me, I was allowed to go early, which was really bizarre. So yeah, then we went to the room where they discussed what it was, what it could be. They said it looked like ulcerative colitis, and they said that they need to do further tests just to be sure. And that's why they took the samples. I had to wait a few months, and yeah, they confirmed it was ulcerative colitis. So that's the story of how I got diagnosed with that. And again, it isn't a scary experience, so if you are going through that, don't worry. The only scary thing was the laxative, let's be honest. But make sure you're prepared for that. I think I could do it again, just knowing that I could prepare for it. And also, taking mini sips is not a great idea. I think I should have done more minutes and bigger sips. The next thing to talk about is how rare it is. I think ulcerative colitis is quite rare. I did look it up and it said like 1 in every 250 people. That's, I think, rarer than autism, if I'm not mistaken. It's bizarre that that's how few people have it. Like, there are more people with things than that, than other things. I don't know how to describe it. It's just painful, really. So what was my experience with ulcerative colitis over the years I've had it? Obviously I mentioned the severe pain I was going through was agony. Pain that was a 10 out of 10 in terms of the pain index, the worst pain possible. And it even peaked above that, believe it or not, when I was applying the ointments and stuff that they were giving me. Like the suppositories they gave me were awful, they didn't even go in. It was just bad. But it even reached like a 15 out of 10, I'd say. And that's unimaginable pain. It was so bad that it actually put my body into shock, I think. So that's one of the least pleasant things about it. The other thing is that it makes you go multiple times and it gives you stomach aches and bloating. It can give you diarrhea and mucus as well, I think. The mucus withdrawal, I've had that a few times, and I've actually been multiple times where nothing's come out, just mucus. And it's pretty gross. It honestly looks like snot just went out of your arse. There's a description for it. So, what's the other thing with it? Oh yeah, blood. There was mixtures of blood, but I'm not sure if it's the hemorrhoid slash fissure or the inside. It's hard to tell. When they did the camera, I think I did see bits of blood inside. So I think it can be internal as well, which is, again, scary. But my experience with this as a TLDR is hell. Nobody should have to go through this. And I prefer this over COVID, but COVID is bad as well. I think, I'll just say they're equally bad. So that's the experience over the past few years, and I think the worst I've had is going 7 times a day. And nothing just comes out. Just incredibly frustrating. And you know, the other thing is that this just disrupts my routine. So in the mornings I make music typically, and I have this about 3 times every morning, on average. Sometimes I've never went, but that's very rare, and sometimes it's been once a day, which is also very rare. But like average 95% of days, I'm just going 3 times every morning, and it's disruptive. It puts so much time away, paired with constipation from other medication I'm on. It's just bad, and I'm surprised that there's no cure for it exactly. It's probably not profitable, to be honest, but I don't know. Yeah, that's it for the experience. So when did it start and why? From what I recall, it started back in 2022, I think. Yeah, I think so. Maybe just a bit before that, or maybe 2021. I remember like talking to people online about it because it was getting bad. They were suggesting all sorts of things: fiber supplements, antibiotics, probiotics. Not antibiotics, probiotics and prebiotics. I actually tried antibiotics and I think they worked a bit, but they weren't perfect. Yeah, but nothing could be done. Nothing helped. It was just hell non-stop, and nothing was helping. It's just, again, nobody should go for it. Let's see. So the next thing, when and why? Yeah, it started shortly after I turned to a vegan diet. I'm not going to say something without evidence because that's stupid. This is just an anecdotal thing. I think it started when, obviously, I started being on a vegan diet, but also when I turned about 25. So it could be either one of these things. It could be a change in my body, or it could be a change in lifestyle, or it could be a change in diet. But actually, the fact about the lifestyle thing is I got more depressed and more easily stressed out after going vegan. And it's not because of empathy necessarily. It's just because of acknowledgement of the world around me. And that just worsened things severely. I remember like I sometimes spent days or even or just hours and days just worrying about different things, and the worst things that happened were sort of breaking down and just feeling despair. Like, I just think of all the horrible things that are happening to the world right now, and that doesn't help. And actually in my situation now, I'm getting so stressed that it's hard to tell whether side effects are caused by medication or the stress itself. So it just gets really complicated. It shouldn't be this complicated, but it is for some reason. So, yeah. That's it for those. The last thing is about the treatments. This was another scary thing to me because it's something I'm unfamiliar with. Like, they started me with painkillers, that's it. Because the pain was really bad from both the stomach aches and the fissure and hemorrhoids. And obviously I had ointments as well. And none of it helped too much. The painkillers helped a bit, but not enough. The next thing they tried was stool softener. And for some stupid reason, this is another thing that was wrong with the GP before this one. They gave me something that was dangerous. They gave me something that could fucking put a hole in my intestines, my digestive system, and hospitalise me, which luckily it didn't. But it's just absurd that they even prescribed that. They didn't even prescribe like fibre supplement, which would have been more reasonable. So yeah, they gave me Laxido and they allowed me to try a different one, Dosukate. forgot what it's called. It's like a pill form of Laxedo. And they helped a bit, but they still gave me pain. I think they're actually causing stomach pain. So I skip a year later, trying different ointments and stuff and giving up on those things and stuff. And turned to the new GP, and they gave me antibiotics to try, which I think worked. And also, after the colonoscopy, they gave me, I think it was steroids. They gave me a type of steroids. I forgot the name of them completely. They were supposed to help with the symptoms of IBD. So, yeah, and I didn't see any difference. But finally, we go on to the more advanced medications when they completed the samples and they decided that there was a different treatment. And one of them was infliximab, I think it was called, which is an injected one, I think, that you do at the hospital itself, which seems too time consuming for me. But the other one was adalimumab, which you could do at home. But the interesting thing is that the adalimumab isn't as scary as it sounds, because I was thinking, oh god, it's a needle. It's gonna fucking hurt. It's gonna cause a lot of problems and just make me needle phobic. And that's not the case, actually. After doing it, I think 8 times now. I started in January this year. It's really not bad, and the side effects aren't noticeable at all. So this treatment could be working. It probably won't for other people, but it's not working for me at the moment. But it's a suitable treatment, to be honest. Like, I can actually take it, and it isn't too time consuming either. These things will actually go in the fridge, and I do sometimes forget, but luckily remember on the day. But as far as it's working, I do not know. I've been on it for 16 weeks now. 16? Yeah, 16, yeah. And I haven't noticed any difference, to be honest. I still get mucus every now and then. I think I need to contact the team because I did get assigned a team to sort of discuss this, which apparently help with these specific things. Yeah. Another thing that complicates it is the iron deficiency. I forgot to mention that. I was tested over a year ago now to see if there's anything in my blood that would show what's wrong with me. And they found only an iron deficiency, which is bizarre. And they tested it again a year later and the same thing. And they prescribed me an iron supplement, but this caused too many problems. It interfered with medication. I couldn't take it. So as far as I know, my iron deficiency could be the cause of everything. I don't know. So anyway, that's the experience. I'm probably going to end this now. Just ulcerative colitis is a pain. It's a complicated thing, but I don't know. It can be triggered by foods, I think. I don't know too much about it. Yeah, about the treatment, I think the thing that I was told was that it sort of made my immune system not work too well. So basically it would sort of make me have not as many side effects, but also sort of make me immune to them. It's just, they gave me a word description of it and I didn't get it completely. So anyway, I'll end it here. Hopefully people found this insightful. And sometimes I'm really slow on this explains why, and I think for people I know and people that other people with ulcerative colitis know, people need to be aware that this is a disruptive thing. it isn't great, and I remember trying to get out of the house a few times, but I couldn't because of this, because of ulcerative colitis. It's just disruptive, and it's strange how it happens only in the morning, where in the afternoon and the day, and even in the evening, it just doesn't happen. Sometimes, or most of the time. Just really frustrating, and it's something that I want to get off my chest, to be honest, and there's something I want to be done with. I don't get the anal fissure and hemorrhoid pain now, luckily. It seems to have gone, and I don't need any more ointment. I haven't used it in over 6 months now, I think, which is great, because I never thought it would go away. Yeah, people really need to be involved on this sort of thing.